Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Talk English Now. I'm your host, Maya, and I am absolutely buzzing with excitement for today's topic. We are going to tackle what I like to call the holy grail of language learning, the one skill that separates good English speakers from truly fluent, confident ones.
And I'm Aiden, your co-host, ready to get into the nitty-gritty. We're talking about that frustrating moment in a conversation when your brain freezes. You know what you want to say in your own language, but there's this mental traffic jam as you try to translate every single word into English. It's slow, it's awkward, and today we're going to help you bypass that traffic jam for good.
That's so true, Aiden. It's the difference between feeling like you're performing English and actually living in it. Today's episode is all about that. We're calling it How to Think in English Without Translating. We're going to give you a step-by-step guide to rewire your brain so that English becomes your default setting for thinking, reacting, and speaking.
This is the big one, folks. This is the secret sauce that makes your conversations flow and your confidence skyrocket. And because this is such a crucial topic, we knew we had to bring in the best. Our phenomenal language expert, Sophie, is back with us in the studio. Sophie, welcome back.
Thanks for having me, Maya and Aiden. I'm so glad we're covering this. Thinking in English is, without a doubt, the most transformative skill a learner can develop. I see so many students who have an amazing vocabulary and understand grammar perfectly, but they feel stuck because they're constantly running a translation program in their heads. It's like trying to run a modern video game on a 20-year-old computer. It's just too slow.
What a perfect analogy. So you're saying it's not about knowing more words, but about changing the whole process?
Exactly. It's a mental habit. Translation is a natural first step. It's like the training wheels on a bicycle. It helps you get started and feel safe. But to truly ride with speed and freedom, you have to take the training wheels off. Today, we'll show you how to do that, step by step, in a way that isn't scary or overwhelming. We'll build new mental pathways so that thinking in English feels just as natural as thinking in your native language.
I'm ready to take my training wheels off. I remember when I was learning Spanish, I'd be in a conversation and someone would ask me a simple question, and my brain would just buffer, like that little spinning wheel on a computer screen. By the time I had the perfect sentence translated, the conversation had already moved on. It was the worst.
That is the exact feeling we want to eliminate. And we can. It's all about practice, patience, and the right techniques. So, if you're ready, let's dive into the first, most fundamental step.
Let's do it. So, Sophie, before we get to the how, can we talk a little more about the why? Why is translating in our heads so detrimental to achieving fluency? What's actually happening in our brains?
That is the perfect place to start, Maya. Understanding the problem is half the battle. Think about the cognitive process. When you're translating, you're forcing your brain to do a 3-step, or sometimes 4-step, process for every single idea.
Okay, break that down for us. What are those steps?
Of course. Let's say someone asks you in English, "What did you do this weekend?" If you're in translation mode, your brain does this. Step 1, you hear the English question and translate it into your native language. What did he just ask me? Oh, he wants to know what I did this weekend. Step 2, you then formulate the answer in your native language. Okay. I went to the park with my family and we had a picnic. Step 3, you then painstakingly translate that answer, word by word, back into English. I went to the park with my family. You're searching for the right vocabulary, the right grammar, the right sentence structure. Step 4, you finally speak the translated sentence, often with hesitation. That's a huge amount of mental energy. It's slow and it's exhausting.
Wow. When you lay it out like that, it's no wonder conversations feel so difficult. You're basically acting as your own real-time interpreter. But what does a fluent speaker's brain do?
A fluent speaker, someone who thinks in English, has a much more direct, 2-step process. Step 1. They hear the English question, "What did you do this weekend?" And they understand it directly in English. There's no translation stop. Step 2. They formulate and speak the answer directly in English. The thought itself is born in English. "Oh, this weekend? I went to the park with my family. It was lovely." The thought and the language are one and the same. It's instant. It's effortless. That's the goal.
That's the dream right there. No more buffering. No more awkward silences while my brain computer reboots. So it's really just a habit we've built up?
Precisely, Aiden. It's a comfortable habit because your native language is your safe space. But it's a habit that creates a permanent ceiling on your fluency. To break through that ceiling, we have to start building a new, better habit. And we start incredibly small. Are you ready for the first practical technique?
I'm on the edge of my seat. Let's hear it.
All right. Our first mission is to create a tiny English island in your brain, a place where only English is allowed. We're not going to start with complex conversations. We're going to start with the world immediately around you. This first technique is what I call object labeling.
Object labeling? Okay, sounds simple enough. What does that mean?
It's as simple as it sounds. For just 1 to 5 minutes a day, I want you to look around whatever room you're in and mentally label the objects you see in English. The crucial rule is do not translate. Don't look at your desk and think, "My word for this is mesa, and the English word is table." No. You just look at the object and think the English word directly.
Oh, I think I get it. So I look at my computer and just think, laptop. Then look at my drink and think, coffee mug. Then look out the window and think, window, tree, car.
Exactly. You are creating a direct link between the physical object and the English word, completely bypassing your native language. You're building the foundation of your English island. Let's try it right now. Aiden, you're in the studio. What do you see?
Okay, microphone, headphones, water bottle, soundboard, chair.
That's the exact feeling. For our listeners, especially at the B1 level, this is your homework. Do it every day. When you're in the kitchen, refrigerator, spoon, plate, in your bedroom, bed, pillow, lamp. It takes no extra time. You can do it while you're brushing your teeth.
I love that. It's so accessible. What about for our more advanced B2 or C1 learners? Is this too simple for them?
Great question, Maya. For higher level learners, you can upgrade this exercise. Instead of just labeling the noun, create a simple phrase or a short sentence about it. So instead of just laptop, you might think, "My laptop is open." Instead of coffee mug, you think, "That's my favorite coffee mug." Or even, "I should probably wash that coffee mug."
Oh, that's a great way to level it up. So I could look at my water bottle and think my water bottle is almost empty. I need a refill.
Perfect. Aiden, you're already building more complex thoughts directly in English. Listeners, try this out loud with us. Look around you right now. Pick one object. Now, say the English word for it. Just the word. Go on. Great. Now, if you're feeling more confident, create a short phrase about it. Say it out loud. You see? You're already starting to think in English.
That feels so powerful, yet so simple. It's like laying the first bricks of a new house. Okay, so we're labeling objects. What's the next step on our journey to building this English island?
The next step is to add action. We've populated our island with things. Now we need to make things happen. This technique is called narrating your day, or creating an internal monologue in English.
You mean talking to myself? In my head?
Exactly. Or even quietly out loud if you're alone. As you go about your day, describe what you're doing in simple, present tense English. Again, the key is to keep it simple. You're not trying to write a novel. You're just creating a running commentary.
Can you give us an example? Like, what would that sound like in the morning?
Of course. Let's say you're getting ready for work. Your internal monologue might sound like this. Okay, I am waking up now. I am getting out of bed. I am walking to the bathroom. I am brushing my teeth. Now I am choosing my clothes for today. I think I will wear the blue shirt.
Laughs that feels a little bit silly, but I can totally see how it would work. You're constantly activating the English part of your brain for everyday, mundane things.
The silly feeling goes away quickly. I promise. Because what you're doing is incredibly strategic. You're taking your daily, automatic routines, actions you don't even think about in your native language, and you're forcing yourself to process them in English. You are actively building the habit of thinking in English about your own life.
I actually do this sometimes when I'm cooking. I'll think to myself, okay, now I'm chopping the onions. I'm adding oil to the pan. I need to find the salt. It helps me practice food vocabulary and verbs in a really practical context.
That is a perfect real-world application, Maya. And for our learners, don't worry about making mistakes. If you think, I am go to the kitchen, it doesn't matter. The goal here is not grammatical perfection. The goal is to build the pathway. The more you use that pathway, the stronger and more accurate it will become over time. Just keep the thoughts flowing.
So the motto is flow over perfection. I like that. So we've got object labeling and we've got the internal monologue. It feels like we're building a solid foundation inside our own heads. What comes next, Sophie? How do we take this island and connect it to the outside world?
Excellent question. Aiden, now that we're getting comfortable inside our own heads, it's time to manage our input. The way you consume English has a massive impact on your ability to think in it. This brings us to our next major section, active consumption and chunking.
Ooh, chunking. That sounds interesting. I think I know what it is, but can you break it down for us?
Absolutely. Native speakers don't think in individual words. We think and speak in chunks, groups of words that naturally go together. For example, in the intro, Aiden, you said, ready to bring some fun and useful phrases your way. You probably didn't think, bring, then some, then fun. You thought of the entire chunk, bring some fun. Other examples are, on the other hand, by the way, make a decision, or it's nice to meet you.
Yeah, you're totally right. I don't even think about the individual words and how's it going, and it's just one block of sound and meaning for me.
Exactly. And learners who get stuck in translation mode are often trying to build sentences word by word, which sounds unnatural and is very slow. The key is to start noticing, learning, and thinking in these chunks.
So how do our listeners do that? How can they start identifying these chunks when they're listening to a podcast like this one or watching a movie?
The first step is to become a chunk hunter. When you're listening or reading, pay attention to groups of words that seem to appear together often. When you hear a phrase that sounds really natural and fluid, like I'll look into it, or it's up to you, or no worries, write it down. Not as individual words, but as a single unit. Keep a chunk journal in a notebook or on your phone.
A chunk journal. I love that. So instead of my vocabulary list having worries, I'd have the whole phrase no worries. And instead of just look, I'd have take a look at this or look forward to it.
Precisely. And when you learn these chunks, you're not just learning vocabulary. You're learning grammar and context all at once. You know that look forward to is followed by an ing verb. I look forward to meeting you. Not because you memorized a grammar rule, but because you learned the whole chunk.
This makes so much sense. It's like you're learning the prefabricated building blocks of the language instead of trying to make your own bricks every time you want to build a sentence.
That's a brilliant analogy, Maya. And this brings us to the second part of active consumption, using an English-to-English dictionary.
Whoa, hold on. That sounds terrifying. What if I don't understand the definition of the word I'm looking up? Then I have to look up that word and it becomes a never-ending cycle.
Laughs, it can feel intimidating at first, Aiden, but it is one of the most powerful ways to break the translation habit. The key is to use a learner's dictionary, like the Merriam-Webster Learner's Dictionary or the Cambridge Dictionary online. They are designed specifically for English learners and use simple, common words in their definitions.
So, what's the benefit of doing this, even if it feels harder than just looking up the word in a bilingual dictionary?
The benefit is that you are forcing your brain to stay on the English island. When you look up a new word, say, enormous, and you see the definition very, very large, you have just connected enormous to other English words you already know. Very, large. You are building a web of connections within the English language. If you look up enormous and get your native language word for it, you've just built a bridge back to your home country. You've left the island. Every time you use an English-to-English dictionary, you are strengthening the connections on your English island, making it richer and more self-sufficient.
Okay, that makes sense. You're building a network inside English instead of constantly relying on an external translation network. So let's roleplay this. Maya, say I'm reading a book and I come across the word versatile. I don't know what it means. I go to my learner's dictionary. What might I see?
Okay, I'm the dictionary. I'd say something like versatile, adjective, able to be used for many different purposes. For example, this is a very versatile jacket. You can wear it in the spring and the fall.
Ah, I get it. So now in my head, versatile is linked to many different purposes and jacket, not my native word. It's staying in the English zone. That's a game changer.
It truly is. Listeners, your challenge this week is to try it just once. The next time you encounter a new English word, resist the urge to translate. Open an English learner's dictionary online and look it up. See how it feels to understand the word through other English words. It's a huge step towards thinking like a native speaker.
This is also practical, Sophie. So we've covered building our internal foundation with labeling and narrating, and now we're actively consuming English by hunting for chunks and using an English-only dictionary. It feels like we're really filling our minds with English. But there's still the scary part, producing it, talking.
Yeah, the output part. My brain can be an English-only paradise, but then I open my mouth and it's like a traffic jam on the bridge to my vocal cords. What's the next step to get over that hurdle? This is where we move into the next phase, low-stakes output practice. The key here is low stakes, which means practicing in situations where there is no pressure, no fear of judgment, and no real-time conversational demands. You need a safe space to practice forming thoughts and getting them out.
So what does a low-stakes practice look like?
My absolute favorite technique is the 5-minute journal. It's incredibly simple. Every day, maybe before bed or first thing in the morning, open a notebook or a document on your computer and just write in English for 5 minutes straight.
What do we write about? Is there a topic?
Anything you want. That's the beauty of it. It's a brain dump. You could write about what you did that day, what you're worried about, what you're excited about, a movie you watched, a dream you had. The only rule is don't stop writing. And, most importantly, do not worry about grammar or spelling. Do not self-correct.
Oh, that's freeing. So the goal isn't to write a perfect paragraph, but just to get the thoughts from your brain onto the page in English.
Precisely. This is a private conversation with yourself. No one is going to grade it. You are simply practicing the act of formulating thoughts in English and expressing them. You're taking the internal monologue we talked about earlier and making it tangible. Over time, you'll notice it gets easier and easier to form sentences. The words start to flow more naturally because you've been practicing every single day in a completely safe environment.
I love that idea. It's like a gym for your English-speaking muscles, but a private gym where no one can see you struggling to lift the weights. Okay, so journaling is one great way. Are there other low-stakes methods?
Yes, another incredibly effective one is what I call scenario rehearsal. This is for when you know you have an English-speaking situation coming up, like ordering at a coffee shop, going to a parent-teacher meeting, or even having a job interview.
So you're saying we should practice the conversation before it happens?
Exactly. You run through the potential conversation in your head, or even out loud. Let's take the coffee shop example. You can mentally rehearse. Okay, I'm going to walk in. I will go to the counter. The barista will say, "Hi, what can I get for you?" I will say, "Hi, can I please have a large iced Americano?" They might ask, "Would you like any room for cream?" I'll say, "No, thank you."
Haha, I do this all the time without even realizing it. It totally reduces the anxiety because I've already gamed out the conversation. I've preloaded the English phrases I'll need, so I don't have to translate them on the spot.
You've hit on the exact reason it works. Aiden, you are pre-paving the neural pathways. You are warming up your English brain for that specific situation. So when you're actually in the moment, your brain doesn't panic and revert to translation. It thinks, "Oh, I know this script. I've practiced this." It's a huge confidence booster.
That is such a powerful tool. For our B1 and B2 learners, this could be a lifesaver for everyday interactions. You can rehearse asking for directions, buying a train ticket, or returning an item to a store. You're preparing yourself for success.
And one final low-stakes technique for the tech-savvy learner: talk to yourself or to an AI. You can literally use the voice memo app on your phone. Ask yourself a question like, "What are my goals for this week?" and then record yourself answering for 1 minute. Or you can use a tool like ChatGPT and have a simple text or voice conversation with it. The AI doesn't judge you. It's just practice. Wow. So between journaling, rehearsing, and talking to our phones, there's no excuse not to be practicing output every day in a safe way. This feels like a complete system, Sophie. We're building the internal world, managing our input, and now practicing our output.
It really is. But I have a question that I know our listeners are thinking about. What happens when we're in a real conversation and despite all this practice, our brain just freezes? That moment of panic when you can't find a word and your mind immediately wants to jump back to your native language. How do we handle that moment?
That is the ultimate test, isn't it? And it will happen. Even fluent speakers sometimes search for a word. The goal isn't to never get stuck. It's to change how you behave when you get stuck. This brings us to our final set of strategies, real-time rescue techniques.
I need these. What's the first one?
The first one is the pause and paraphrase technique. When you're talking and you can't think of a specific word, let's say you can't remember the word screwdriver. Your old habit is to panic, stop speaking, and mentally search for the translation. Your new habit is to take a calm breath and then describe the word using other English words you do know.
So instead of freezing, I would say something like,
You'd say, "I need, what's it called? I need the tool you use to turn a screw." Or, "Can you pass me that thing? You know, the metal stick for tightening things."
Oh, that's so smart. Because you're keeping the conversation in English, you're solving the problem with English, not by escaping from it. The other person will almost certainly know what you mean and might even supply the word for you. "Oh, a screwdriver?" And then you've learned it in context.
That is the magic of it. You turn a moment of failure into a learning opportunity and a moment of connection. You are communicating, which is the entire point. This is far more fluent and natural than just stopping dead in your tracks.
I love that. It takes so much pressure off needing to know every single word. So pause and paraphrase. What's another rescue technique?
The second one is to embrace simplicity. Many learners feel like they need to use impressive, complex vocabulary and long sentences to sound fluent. That's a myth. Fluency is about clear and effective communication, not complexity. If you can't think of the word, I'm ambivalent about that. Just say, I'm not sure how I feel about that. Or, I have mixed feelings.
That's such a relief to hear. So, I'm exhausted can just be I'm very tired. The film was spectacular can be the film was really good. It's better to say something simple and correct than to try for something complex and fail.
1,000 times. Yes. Simple, clear, confident English is infinitely better than complex, hesitant, translated English. Give yourself permission to be simple. As your thinking in English becomes more automatic, the more complex vocabulary and structures will start to appear naturally, without you having to force them.
This has been so incredibly enlightening, Sophie. It feels like you've given us a complete roadmap. Let's do a quick recap for everyone listening.
Great idea. Okay, so first we start building our English island in our minds with object labeling, laptop, coffee, window, and then narrating our day with an internal monologue. I am walking to the kitchen.
Then we become conscious consumers of English. We hunt for chunks, no worries, on my way, instead of single words. And we use an English to English learners dictionary to build connections inside the language.
After that, we move to low-stakes output. We practice with a 5-minute journal, we do scenario rehearsals for real-life situations, and we can even talk to ourselves or an AI.
And finally, when we're in a real conversation and get stuck, we use our rescue techniques. We pause and paraphrase by describing the word we need, and we embrace simplicity, knowing that clear communication is the true goal.
That's a perfect summary. And the most important ingredient that ties all of this together is patience and consistency. This is not an overnight fix. It's a mental workout. You wouldn't expect to have a six-pack after one trip to the gym. It's about doing these small exercises a little bit every single day. 5 to 10 minutes of focused practice daily is far more effective than a 2-hour cram session once a week.
Consistency over intensity. I feel like that's the theme for so much of language learning. Start small, do it often, and be kind to yourself in the process.
Absolutely. Sophie, thank you so much for breaking this down for us. You've taken this huge, intimidating goal of thinking in English and turned it into a series of small, manageable, and even fun steps. I feel inspired to be more conscious about this in my own language learning.
It was my absolute pleasure. Just remember, every time you choose to think a thought directly in English, no matter how small, you are strengthening that muscle. You are paving that neural pathway. And soon, it won't be a rocky path you have to search for. It will be a superhighway.
A mental superhighway. I love it. Well, to all our listeners out there, your challenge is to pick just one of these techniques and try it this week. Maybe it's labeling 5 objects in your office. Maybe it's writing a 1-sentence journal entry tonight. Just start.
That's the perfect way to end it. Take that first small step. You've got this. A huge thank you again to our expert Sophie for her incredible wisdom.
Anytime. Happy learning, everyone.
And a massive thank you to all of you for tuning in to Talk English Now. We hope this helps you make your conversations feel more effortless and natural.
We'll be back next time with more practical tips to help you on your English journey. Until then, keep talking, keep learning, and try thinking a thought or two in English. Bye for now.